Hey, what's up, Causenetic family?
Welcome to the Causenetic Podcast.
Causenetic means being a person or thing that gives rise to a phenomenon that is dynamic or energizing.
We're tackling topics and telling the truth.
Hey, I'm Keith Vinson.
And I'm still Rodrigua Ross.
Were you supposed to change to somebody else?
I thought about it, but yeah, I decided against it.
Hey, so today our topic is fired up, can't take no more. Fired up, can't take no more. Fired up, can't take no more. Hey, we're going to talk about protests.
Protests.
Yeah.
Which have seemed to be like this re-energized reality in our world, particularly since 2020.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think if you look over the course of history, you can clearly identify where there have been pivotal shifts in our history where protesting became the thing, right? And then there would seem to be maybe these quiet periods where you didn't necessarily hear of so many protests. But now, apparently, we're back in the protest phase.
Yeah.
Stage.
But you know what I like about what's happening, though, is the protests per se. Yes, there are large groups that are protesting against different things, but I think people are finding their voice in the midst of all of
this
it.
This whole idea of protesting, right? The idea.
So as an individual, hey, I want to voice my opinion about different things.
But I think that happens evolutionarily. Is that a word? I'm making it a word. Evolutionarily. As new generations, right, come about, and they really are looking for ways to either support the status quo or begin to say, I know this is the way things used to be, but this is not really going to work for us. Perhaps that's why we see these ebbs and flows in history of when protests, because that's that generational rite of passage, right? That coming of age kind of thing.
Because when I looked at the definition of it, it said a statement or action expressing disapproval of or objection to something.
Now, when you say that, I have my own personal protest. I protest white shoes after Labor Day. It is my personal disapproval.
I know that you protest that, but why is that law?
That's a good question.
And can't nobody answer that.
Including me. Because I don't know. I just always grew up. I think it had something to do with like coal miners back in the day, and it just became a thing. But now that I'm thinking about it, there are so many fashion trends that would warrant you would wear white shoes after Labor Day. So perhaps I'll stop protesting.
Okay.
But I get it. I understand.
And then sometimes what I protest.
Oh, what are you? Oh, good gracious. What are you protesting, Keith?
The fitness center sometimes.
Well, I've heard you protesting. I walked past while you was in the midst of protesting. We need to have David, your trainer, on here.
Hey. We don't need to go public with that.
Let's go, David.
After I had somebody to blackmail me the other day about working out.
That's right.
And what my definition of fitness was.
Clearly, it's not the commonly held definition.
Opening my mouth wider for a burrito.
Who said that? I want to see them.
But as we do talk about protests, there's so many different ways that people can, can protest.
This whole act of disapproval or objection to something, most people would think it's not a protest if it's not like thousands of people downtown on a city square. Right. But is that true?
Oh, no. So my protest was, I went to a restaurant after church, group of us, probably about 15, 20 of us, mixed company.
Yep.
And the way that we were treated, it was just clearly that something was against the group of the majority color. And while they served a mean yeast roll.
This is what it comes down to. Yeast roll.
Hey, it's sacrifice. You get a nice soft I'm talking about consistently with the soft yeast roll. You know, the one you just fold your fingers in and you can
they can almost get forensic fingerprints from that.
When the butter hits it, it just melts.
And it just glistened in the
But the sacrifice, sunlight. The protest came about. I said, you know what?
I ain't spending my money.
I worked too hard for my money to be able to be treated in this type of way.
Right.
And so I went for about 2 years and
would not patronize that restaurant.
Would not.
In spite of their wonderful yeast roll.
And I'm that one that says that there's a stat that says that, one person will tell 26 other people about the bad experience.
You're that person?
Oh, 26 times. Now, I will praise you now. I will praise you.
So it works both ways?
Oh, it works both ways for me.
Okay, so protests don't necessarily have to be these huge events. Like, everyone can play a part in this whole idea of protesting, right? Like, this whole idea of I'm silently, singularly protesting something. And that could be just as powerful, I would think.
Oh, yeah. Because you tell other people at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, hey,
and you never know. It could be like a whole bunch of other people thinking they're doing it by themselves, but it's really a lot of y'all.
Right. But it takes that voice for people to speak up, for that power to be able to come through you. So it can go from this singular place, or it can go over to, 1 million people marching.
Yeah, I am. So they did. I was reading an article in the Atlantic magazine, and they were talking about since 2020, where there seems to be this resurgence in the act of protesting, that the data has increased that 1 in 5 Americans indicate that they have participated in some level of protest in the last 2 years. That is a lot of people.
I
1 in
that.
5.
I believe that.
Wow. That was amazing to me. I didn't think the number was that high.
Because
you see in your big cities, but of course you have lots of people, but even in some of your smaller areas or areas that you don't necessarily associate with protests, you wouldn't think that many people would be using that medium, that mode.
Yeah. But to your point, though, is that protesting is not just, 1,000 or some people in there. It is from an individual or a small group. And it goes from, the toddler, that they may protest.
I ain't need string beans.
Yeah.
I'm going to flip this table.
Yeah.
Literally.
Right. Oh, that toddler stage, boy.
Good grace, I'm so glad
and they toddlers, they know good, they understand well. But boy, they pick up them peas and just start to throw them. Like,
just throw my good food across this room.
No.
And your own kids, you just think they so cute and precious. You don't want to be mad before. How many people are like, I don't even like this kid. I don't even like this kid.
Yeah, but you see the protesting also, and it's like different public speeches. So people going to City Hall to be able to talk about something that's going on in the community.
Yeah.
You think about students even going to school boards, talking about, different things they may, be against in the school.
Right.
But protesting is, I think sometimes a lot of people see it from this negative place, but it's just this place of doing it right. I think you can see powerful change.
Okay, so what's right?
What's right?
Yeah. What is a right way? In your opinion, right? Because that's probably a subjective, pretty loaded question.
Correct.
But the ones that I would think get you the best results, like typically what is that?
This individual question there. So when I think about that, right off the top, there's some place that people see flipping a table. Because
it's an acceptable way of protest. Like there are definitely people.
Because if you read the Bible, Jesus flipped some tables, right?
He did in front.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's some that say, well, you got to be the humble, meek, and mild.
And the whole really nonviolent, quiet.
Yeah.
Although I don't know, there seems to be a faction of folks who believe that rioting and protesting are synonymous.
There's a group out there.
Yes, absolutely.
I share the space of, doing it in the manner of order. that it's called for. So if you're going to city council, for an example, understand when you go to city council, what, do you have 3 minutes to speak?
Yeah.
Like, practice your 3 minutes.
Right.
So that you will get clearly your point across and you're not just rambling when you get up there. And if you have the opportunity to do that 12 months out of the year until they, listen, then I say sign up 12 months out of the year and be consistent in doing that.
Right.
If within your organization, you looking for a point to be across, like, put your voice to good use.
Yeah.
God has given you that one mouth. I know you may use yours a bit much.
I know you're not looking directly at me when you saying that. You must be talking about it in the general sense, huh? Because I felt that in my spirit just now. Like, you're talking to me. I don't know, but I feel like there's this conundrum, right, of content and context when people are trying to, and people probably have heard me talk about this whole idea of content versus context.
Right.
But in this particular instance, I think it really comes down to, do you want people to really pay attention to what it is you're protesting about, or do you just need to get their attention through the protest? And that in turn may lead some people to believe in whether the nonviolent approach or the almost riotous kind of approach, which one is better suited for that particular situation.
I think when you have the major topics that come up, both of those situations come about, right?
Yeah.
So, and because which one is right, which one is wrong?
And you have both of them exist in the same protest, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So we got to be able to talk about these things as they come about.
Yeah.
And again, for me, it is what's the order which is called for.
Yeah.
And so that that you can get people to hear you.
Yeah.
That's my take in it all. Make sure your voice is heard. And I think the way to do that is in order so that no one can come against your order that you're going in and talking about.
It's fascinating to me because I've had this conversation because I know people on both sides. I know some people who absolutely espouse the belief that protests should be in order and it's organized and there is some decorum, and because that is the best way to get your point across, and that is the way that you would like to be. You want people to kind of interface and interact with you. But I also know people, and they make some salient points towards the more aggressive, riotous kind of actions when you're really trying to buck. It's like, I don't want to work inside the system that I'm telling you is broken, or I've tried that way so many times and you don't hear me, and so now I have to get your attention. Or some people who just really feel so strongly about something, right, that they may have intended to enter the situation one way, and they look up and it has gone way to the other side.
Right.
And just the discourse, like what I found is at the core of it all, both sets of people really feel strongly about something.
Right.
But they just can't agree on the best method to make sure that they express that disapproval to the extent that it is going to get some things to change. That's when you get the but it just creates this.
Yeah, I mean, so your audible voice is one way, but then also there is writing of letters.
Well, some people will be like, I don't write no letters. Nobody read a letter.
Well, but letter writing.
I love a good letter writing.
Yeah.
A stern statement. But some people.
So, I mean, if you want to go to the place of writing to an editor, and popular newspaper in your community.
Yeah.
Then there's this little thing called social media.
Social
media is a game changer when it comes to protests, because from a big company standpoint, you'll be very surprised when you put that at whatever big company,
right?
That you can get a quick response. Whereas if you're talking in the store or whatever to the manager, they may be so-so about it. But social media, there's been a couple times I had to express an opinion.
You did it on social media? Was it under your own name, or did you have an alias?
Oh, no. I mean, again, because the order that I do things in, a very appropriate way.
Okay.
that caused for me to get a quick response. And I was like,
that's okay. I wrote my letter. I went through your channels and nobody answered me.
So here's this consistency now that if I got a problem and it's not resolved,
just go to social media.
Yeah. I mean, because I want to give you the opportunity before I protest against your company. Right. And so therefore, and I'm cordial about it.
So imagine if, because we are in a season where, and rightfully so as he should be, you find Dr. King's quotes everywhere, right? Right. So Dr. King's season is from like January 16th through March the 1st, right? And so you see his quotes everywhere, and many of the quotes come from the things that he penned, letters from a Birmingham jail, right? So if you read those things, so many different quotes and so many things, and all of it was, him penning his opposition to the civil rights as they existed in a country back then. But imagine if we had social media and Dr. King could tweet some things, or he could drop something on Instagram or do a TikTok. What?
So he would have been 94 years old.
Imagine if he had an account right now. He was tweeting right now.
Okay, you just blew my mind right there.
Imagine if he was on Facebook now.
You just blew my mind.
He was doing
but look at the power that he had of really like human people that he was able to bring about to cause a movement.
Through letters of opposition. That really didn't gain their momentum and get their power till long past his passing. Would that have existed? Because, stuff on some social media channels, that stuff disappears after 24 hours.
Yeah.
And so is there an art in the letter writing?
Yeah. There's this art in song. So
first of all, let's set some ground rules, because I didn't just
hold on now. Let me hold on now.
Because I feel
you feel so like you talking about Dr. King. I just want to bring up, a couple things, so there's a gospel song.
Oh, can you just say the words?
There's a gospel song, and Reverend Charles Albert Tinley.
Oh.
He wrote this song. Some of y'all may know it out there.
Yeah, like here it go.
We shall overcome.
I apologize.
We shall.
I tried to ward this off before it started. I knew that this was going to happen. And I knew.
But that song came synonymous with the Civil Rights Movement.
And absolutely. Yeah. And I'm so glad that they sung it way better than you did.
Come on now. But that was a song that was helped lead over 300,000 protesters at the Lincoln Memorial.
Okay, so it was it originally made for these kinds of convenings and protests? Like, is that why Mr. Tinley wrote the song?
No, so some say the song was sung by tobacco workers striking in Charleston, South Carolina back in 1945.
Oh, okay. And somebody else just picked the song back up.
And multiple times.
Bam.
We shall overcome.
We heard it the first time you sang it. Okay. We're singing it again. Okay.
I don't know what you talk about my song, but several people that have listened to the podcast and heard me sing, that like, okay, Keith, I heard you.
Show me the receipts. I don't believe
you know what?
Said that.
Well, you all help me. For those who are listening, hit us up hit us up with an email. Go to our website, YMCA Dallas /Causenetic, and let her know that what you think about divorce here. Cause then we can even talk about old Bob Dylan too now.
Okay,
I ain't
you
sing
gonna sing that song
but
too?
Bob used to call out.
Talent, I don't know.
The times they are changing. But at that point, he was talking about calling on all kind of writers and critics, mothers, fathers, senator, congressman, whoever, that like y'all come and like we need to make change, happen. So
I love it.
Power in this. So I know you're a music lady.
I am definitely a music. Like, so there is a level of protest in so many genres. Like hip hop is celebrating its 50th year. this year. But the whole genesis of hip hop was this whole protest. Let's sing about our lived experiences, young people growing up in these urban centers that was experiencing life at its most grittiest forms. And they use this art medium to kind of express it. And to this day, hip hop is absolutely a vehicle for as much as people don't necessarily want to hear those things, or they may have opinions about how something is being said or the language that is being used or even the images that it is projecting. That is a way of people protesting something or shedding light on the things that have been normalized for them in their life. So yeah, there's whole genres of music that are dedicated to this idea of protest.
I mean, they become like anthems, for years and years to come. I think about Billie Holiday being the first black artist to ever release kind of this bold and explicit song about racism. And it was controversial. Yeah. So, I mean, if you guys check out the song, check out the lyrics to Strange Fruit. It's an old one. When I first heard it, I was like, whoa.
It is deep.
It is deep.
She definitely got she got lots of backlash and lots of when people would have her come to venues, they would try to tell her, "Hey, don't sing that song."
Yeah,
and she was pretty protestish because she would sing it.
I mean, this song talks about lynch mobs and kill thousands of black men, women, and children. In the South, outside of the judicial system.
That's right.
I mean, it's and
y'all some of the audiences
check that one out.
Was singing for.
Yeah,
you gotta understand this was 1939.
Yeah, right.
When she put that song out, and so that was very controversial, particularly when she's singing in places where she had to come in back doors. She couldn't even come in the front door with the patrons, or she couldn't stay in some of the hotels where she was singing and performing these shows. And they would explicitly tell her, don't sing that song. And she would sing it. And so you got to understand that not only was she protesting, but she was putting herself in mortal danger. Right. So, I mean, you're right. That's deep.
So everybody has a voice. You got to figure out how to use it. And
it's a thing.
It's a very powerful thing.
There are definitely reasons why.
And it's not just your voice, but it's still letter writing. Letter writing still is a real thing. Yep. I think especially when you are dealing with municipal government or any type of government, putting things in writing, is gonna help you. The power of social media is gonna help you. And then there's positivity that comes out of protest. Protest is not a bad word.
It's not a bad thing. People think that resistance is always a negative thing, right? You get this, the resistance. And it depends on how you do it and if there is collateral damage. But the reality is, let's go back to your personal trainer. So David told me this. The reality is, when you want to build muscle, right, you have to increase the resistance. And then after that, your muscle is better, you are more fit. So resistance and pressure, 9 times out of 10, when you're thinking about resistance and pressure, while at the time it's uncomfortable and you don't like it, the end result many times is good, like a diamond.
Okay, so if I resist the pressure of going to work out, you saying that I'm going to be like a diamond?
There is no pressure to work out. If you resist the pressure to go home and eat some more Oreos and then tell me about the Oreos, knowing I'm going to eat the Oreos.
We're going
the pressure.
We're going to look.
Don't resist working out.
Look. Before we sign off, y'all, look. I must give props to my girl, LaShay.
What was you going to call her?
I don't know. LaShay, forgive me, my sister.
Her name has been LaShay the entire time you've known. Her entire life, her name has been LaShay. The entire life.
One Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, Shay Leonard. She is straight the bomb, y'all. She's our producer. We want to make sure we give a shout out to her every day when we do our recordings here.
And thank you for listening to Causenetic.
On this episode called Fired Up, Can't Take No More. Fired Up, Can't Take No More.
Subscribe and listen to us weekly.
And look, and don't be shy. Give us a 5-star review.
And as always,
be dynamic,
be phenomenal,
and be Causenetic.